Hi, good to see all of you. I'm Nobru, the B2B content creator at Canada Helps. Thanks for joining us. In today's recorded webinar, we'll be covering everything you need to know about building a newsletter, including best practices and a quick DMS walkthrough. Today's webinar will be presented by Tamara Ramani, a senior manager of charity engagement here at Canada Helps. She leads our Western Canada charity engagement team, and since joining us in 2018, she has helped thousands of charities across Canada to empower them and help them use Canada Helps fundraising tools efficiently and effectively. And first, we want to start off with a land acknowledgement. Our team at Canada Helps is grateful to have the opportunity to meet and work on many Indigenous homelands across this land we share, Canada. As settlers on these lands, it is important to acknowledge that our Vancouver offices are located on the unceded territory of the Coast Salish people. The Montreal offices are located on the Mohawk territory, and the land on which we operate in Toronto is the traditional territory of the Wendat, the Anishinaabe, the Haudenosaunee, and the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation. We want to express our respect for the territories we reside in and honor the diverse Indigenous people who have lived and worked on this land historically and presently. We, the staff, and leadership at Canada Helps are committed to being active participants in reconciliation. We are committed to continuing to amplify Indigenous voices and learning how our work affects Indigenous people. About Canada Helps. Canada Helps is a charitable foundation increasing giving in Canada through technology. For Canadians, CanadaHelps.org provides a trusted one-stop destination for making donations, fundraising, or learning about any charity in Canada. For Canada's 86,000 charities, we also develop affordable fundraising technology and provide free training and education for charities so that all charities have the capacity to increase their impact and succeed in the digital age. Since the year 2000, more than 3.5 million Canadians have donated over $2.3 billion to charities using Canada Helps. If you have a question, click the chat icon in the menu, then send us your question and we'll reply after the webinar. We'll also email you a recording following the webinar to watch this presentation on demand. And before we get started with the presentation, just a reminder that the Great Canadian Giving Challenge is well underway. If you haven't heard of it before, it is a contest where you could win $20,000 for your charity. This contest runs from June 1st to June 30th, so we have just about a week left. And during this time period, every dollar donated to your charity through Canada Helps gives you a chance to win $20,000. Join the challenge, rally your donors around this limited time opportunity to boost your summer donations. We have just about a week left, and this newsletter webinar should help you with that final push, and we can't wait to get started with this presentation. Before we do, just a quick run through of the agenda. There's a couple items here. So we're going to start off with the broader goal of newsletters. Then we're going to dive right into the benefits of newsletters for charities, and then best practices. We're going to think about what you need to think about rather before you get started on building your newsletter. Whether you're building your first one or you're trying to make improvements to existing ones, you want to stay tuned for section number 3. Then in 4, we have focusing on a topic. This means how to keep your newsletters focused and concise, succinct, which is important. And we'll get to talk when we start talking about the best practices. It'll make a little more sense. And then number 5, how to build a charity newsletter, where we do a quick walkthrough of how to build your own newsletter. It's very basic. We have templates ready for you in the DMS, where you can just plug and play before you send. And number 6 is we're going to do a quick recap. And number 7 is the Q&A. Again, this is a recorded webinar, so you can enter in any questions you have anytime throughout the webinar. We'll get back to you once the webinar is over. But if you do have a question that comes a little bit later, or you're just trying to sit on it for whatever reason, you can send that to us at the end of the presentation too. We'll leave a few minutes open for that. And with that, I'd like to introduce Tamara.
Thank you, Naboro, for the introduction. And as you've probably gathered, today we'll be exploring why sending newsletters to your supporters is essential for your organization. And I know all of us here are continuously improving how we cultivate and retain donors more successfully. And as a starting point, I think a good question we should ask ourselves is what encourages a donor to actually support an organization?
A good way to get a sense of this is to look at some data. In last year's Giving Report, we learned the top 3 factors that encourage a donor's decision to support a charity are, firstly, the donor understands the charity's mission. You should be able to articulate whom you serve, highlight what makes your programs unique, why they're successful, and how you've made a difference so far. Second, the donor trusts that the charity is efficiently managed and uses its donations responsibly. Here, transparency helps build that trust and provides a clear view of how the organization operates and measures the impact of its work. And lastly, the charity clearly communicates its impact through storytelling, educational materials, and other communications and content. Of course, donors will search you online and learn about your mission that way. But as you know, relationships are a two-way street. So it's also crucial for charities to proactively educate and communicate. And a great way to do this, of course, is through sending regular newsletters. Charities not sending newsletters regularly may miss out on an easy way to grow and retain their support base. That's because newsletters are a great way to quickly and directly communicate news updates and other information to showcase how your organization is advancing its mission, build trust by proactively providing financial impact and other reports that help improve donor confidence, and as well as combine real-life testimonials with inspiring images to create a story that inspires action and leads to results. Charities that spend even a little time here are able to connect with their supporters better. We've established that newsletters can be an effective tool to help encourage support by educating and building trust. But let's first take a look at how effective emails are for charities. Well, charity emails boast some of the highest email open rates compared to other industries, about 25% according to MailChimp, meaning many of your supporters are interested in at least seeing what content you have to share. This gives charities a significant advantage because on average, people choose to open emails from charities like yours more often. What makes newsletters unique and advantageous is that they're typically sent at a regular cadence, such as every month, that helps make it predictable for supporters to know when they can expect to receive a newsletter. They also provide valuable content consistently, and donors start to look forward to receiving that email. Some 4 major ways your charities can benefit from sending newsletters is raising awareness, attracting volunteers, fundraising, and building trust. Let's take a look at them more in detail. Besides donating or buying products, Canadians support causes by learning, talking, and sharing. Across all generations, about 55% of Canadians support causes by talking about them with friends, families, or colleagues. And about 49%, in that graph on the right there, support causes by learning to be more informed supporters. To do that effectively, they must know your mission, programs, and impact. Newsletters allow charities to share that information directly with supporters. Subscribers can easily forward or share newsletters with friends, family, and colleagues. Your younger subscribers may want to share this content through social media. And while causes is important to all generations, it was most common among younger Canadians. For Gen Z, about 60% said that the top way they support a charity is talking about the cause most important to them. Millennials were close behind at 57%, and charities like You Have noticed this. 1 in 3 report that they saw an increase in following, sharing content, commenting, and liking their organization's posts on social media, based on findings reported in our recent giving report. Newsletters can help expand your reach, attract new supporters, and generate even more awareness as your content spreads through word of mouth. Charities can educate and inspire their supporters to share and talk about organizational updates, stories, and individuals or communities they've helped. Personal stories are a great platform to connect with your supporters by sharing how your work directly impacted those people or communities. Walk your reader through the inspiring journey of how your organization helped a person, family, or community. Share the issue your organization wanted to address, how your organization helped overcome that challenge, and the positive outcome. Enhance those stories with images and photographs to visually show the positive impact, resulting in a much more powerful emotional response than text achieves alone. Photographs help educate your supporters that real people genuinely benefit from your fantastic work. You could also use your newsletters to empower your supporters and build their confidence in your cause, and also their ability to share your mission with others. You can achieve this by clarifying and breaking down complex research or scientific findings related to your organization's mission with infographics and connecting it back to your programs and achievements. Thus, you're not just cultivating supporters, but informed supporters with the confidence to accurately share your charity's mission and how you make a positive difference. This also increases their confidence in your cause because you've provided actual proof and data that supports your organization's urgency and need to address issues. So use this data to explain why action needs to be taken now and the consequences if you don't receive the support you need to help motivate your supporters to take action. Of course, everyone's capacity varies from one organization to another. We want to clarify that it's better to try to experiment with a little bit than not do anything at all, because than to do not. We want to clarify that it's better to try to experiment with a little bit than not to do anything at all because it feels too daunting. So while we navigate each benefit, we'll help you conceptualize a newsletter that is effortless to build on the DMS. In the top section of the newsletter, notice the attention-grabbing hero image. Right off the bat, the reader will know that this email is about the Great Canadian Giving Challenge, or GCGC for short. So in this section, we first raise awareness about GCGC by briefly outlining the contest details. We supplement the copy and image with a call to action, or what we call CTAs. And this could link to an article for supporters to learn more about the challenge. In this link, you could point them towards a blog or an article sharing your organization's involvement or results from last year. Or if it's your first time participating, you could share how you would use the funds if you won the contest. The second benefit is that the newsletters help you attract volunteers. We know how critical this is, as volunteerism across Canada has plummeted to record lows. In our 2023 giving report, we reported that 58% of small charities are solely run by volunteers. Our data also shows that roughly 55% of respondents with volunteer programs that existed prior to 2020 report that the total number of active volunteers in the last year is below pre-pandemic levels. Our data also shows that roughly 55% of respondents with volunteer programs that existed prior to 2020 reported that the total number of active volunteers in the last year is below pre-pandemic levels, with 22% roughly reporting total active volunteers are significantly below pre-pandemic levels. Unfortunately, the sector isn't expecting a rebound anytime soon, as attracting donors is one of the top 10 concerns for charities in the Giving Report. Let's take a look at how a newsletter can help to encourage support for volunteers. We know that people volunteer for a variety of reasons. It might be because of altruism, that they have a genuine desire to help others, fulfillment, that they find joy in using their skills to make a difference, passion, they may have a personal connection to the cause, professional experience, they may be interested in joining the charity sector and volunteer to earn experience, or learn new skills. With newsletters, you can target these motivations in many ways. Simply put, newsletters are a great platform to advertise new and urgent roles because your email subscribers already support your organization at some level. Here, it's important to be realistic in the ask and be prepared to accommodate the position for various skill sets. After all, it isn't a paid position. When you share available opportunities, clearly communicate the priorities, any important times, and dates related to the position. Let the prospective volunteer know the direct impact they'll have so they know right off the bat if this role is suitable for them. And most importantly, that their contributions matter. Storytelling is just as important to attract volunteers as it is to raise awareness. Humanize the volunteer experience to help convince others that even just one person can make a difference in the volunteer role. Here, keep note to emphasize marketable skills in the workforce that they wouldn't be able to acquire as easily elsewhere. As you recruit new volunteers, you can share wins and testimonials in subsequent newsletters to attract even more volunteers in the future. In the donor management system, we have a volunteer form you can customize and embed directly on your website. Follow these steps and it'll take you right there. Go to settings, click on website forms, then go ahead and customize that volunteer form and embed it right on your website. On to the third benefit, fundraising. So how effective are emails when it comes to fundraising? Well, as you can see in the big infographic on the left, 33% of donors in Canada and the US reported that email is the communication tool that inspires them to give the most, with print being the next highest at 19%. As you can see on the right, 48% regular email communication is the most likely method to encourage repeat donations compared to regular social media communications, which are at 18%, and print communication is at 16%. So newsletters are an ideal form of promoting fundraising campaigns because you can quickly outline the importance, purpose, and urgency of your campaign. And what makes a newsletter extra helpful for fundraising is that you can include a call to action to promote your donation form to make it very easy and quick for your supporters to donate. You can add secondary and tertiary CTAs to encourage potential donors who are on the fence to learn more about your campaign, its potential impact, and other information about your cause and mission. To effectively promote your campaign, you should first outline its purpose, including how it relates to your cause and how it will elevate your programs or services. And again, stories. You'll definitely want to share stories to help promote your fundraising campaigns as well. If you've run similar campaigns previously or have annual campaigns such as the GCGC Challenge, share testimonials and impact stories to showcase how donations in the past have made a difference. Of course, it's best practice to supplement these stories with images or infographics in your newsletter to show the genuine impact your charity has. Some organizations opt for including recommended donation amounts that equate to specific amounts. For example, $20 feeds 20 people for a month, and this helps your supporters equate each donation to a tangible impact. We understand this ultimately depends on the length of your campaign and your capacity, but sending newsletters weekly or monthly and including a thermometer or a similar image helps supporters visualize the momentum and progress you have made. And here, don't forget to include plenty of donation options, whether it's one-time, monthly, or securities. More flexibility means more ways your donors can contribute. Returning to our Great Canadian Giving Challenge example, here's just a quick way for you to promote the campaign in the newsletter. Remember, we use the top section to raise awareness about the GCGC Challenge. In this highlighted section, we share what we would do if we won the $20,000 prize to encourage the donor to give. In this hypothetical scenario, not only will each gift help the charity ease food insecurity, but the donor could directly impact 1,000 families. That's a huge win, and it's incredibly moving. Ideally, the CTA in this scenario would take the user to a donation form. Bonus points if it's customized with the GCGC messaging to drive the impact home. When you send out GCGC emails, be sure to include a link to the TNCs somewhere in the email. Typically, these are placed in or near the footer. Last but not least, the fourth benefit, building trust. Why is it important to build trust? In our latest giving report, when it comes to those who do not give to charities, about 23% across all generations stated that they believe that the money isn't used well. This is especially true for older generations, about 30% of Gen X and boomers. Approximately 1 in 10 in the younger generations said lack of trust was the reason they do not donate. One common way charities build trust is by quantifying their impact. For example, we helped 10 students graduate, we fed 100 families, we planted 1,000 trees, etc. You could also provide educational materials to help ensure you're a trusted source when it comes to the issues or problems you're trying to solve. Be open to providing data and information. And again, it's worth mentioning here that not everyone has the time to take a deep dive into scientific topics or data and breaking down those complex research or scientific topics. And in this case, infographics are a great way to connect facts and data back to your organization. And this is especially helpful for more casual supporters. It's also a way to show your accountability. You could inform your audience what funds went where, what your sources of revenue, the cost of keeping your services running, and admin costs. Then link your supporters to a financial or impact report in your CTA. And once again, storytelling and testimonials play a big part here as well. Real impact from real people shows that there's a real benefit. Even in an email focused on fundraising campaign, there are ways to build trust with your audience to help encourage them to give. So returning back to the example newsletter, there was a statement that the charity won the $20,000 prize, and they could feed 1,000 families. The CTA would lead the user to an impact report to provide detailed information about expenses and costs to educate readers that achieving this goal with $20,000 is feasible and realistic. So let's do a quick recap. The benefits of the newsletters are that it helps raise awareness, attract volunteers, fundraise, and build trust. And now let's take this all together and look at what it takes to build an effective newsletter. It's recommended to send newsletters at least on a monthly basis, but it depends on many things, such as available content, organizational capacity, or if you're running a seasonal or major fundraising campaign. To take the GCGC Challenge example again, you may have noticed an uptick in newsletters informing you about all the great tools we have to offer. Similarly, the weeks leading up to Giving Tuesday and year-end are also popular times for charities to excite and remind donors about the biggest giving days of the year. Another important aspect, function over form. Decorative fonts are distracting and not easy to skim, thereby making it challenging to find the information they need and navigate your newsletter easily. Content that's easy to skim is much better at capturing and keeping their attention. Newsletters typically have multiple sections. An easy to skim newsletter allows the reader to understand the main point of each section. And then if they're interested, they'll decide to click the link to learn more. The better you can retain your readers' attention, the more likely they are to take further action. Usually the action you want them to take in a newsletter is to click the call to action. For example, pick fonts that are easy to read. Use bullet points to keep your content precise and organized. Highlight the text that you want to draw attention to. Use headings and subheadings to guide readers where you want their eyes to go when scanning your email. Without a doubt, you have plenty of important information to share, but long pieces of text may seem to take forever to read and may dissuade people from reading what you have to offer. Think of it as a newsletter as a way to have a sneak preview or snippet of what your user can expect. Copy should be short and enticing so the user is curious enough to click a link in the newsletter so they end up on your website. Nowadays, of course, most people use phones to open emails, so any long paragraph often look and feel even longer on a smaller screen. A well-presented layout is much more appealing to read than a single wall of text. You can prioritize what the reader sees, A great layout can guide the reader appropriately. Notice the example on the right. The reader is likely to be drawn to the images first because those take up the most real estate on the screen. Some proper spacing separates each section clearly. Your images are the best way to draw your user's attention, and your headings are the way to clarify what the section is about. And again, each section concludes with the CTA, helping the user understand where each section ends and what to click if they want to learn more or complete another action. A great layout means your newsletter is easy to navigate. The user's eye will likely dart from one heading to the next and scan the entire newsletter, or they can start reading and engaging with the first heading that catches their eye. There's some science behind this as well. According to various studies, there are several popular email layouts based on scanning patterns borrowed from web design user experience best practices. These are ZF and reverse pyramid patterns. In the Z pattern, readers can scan the email with their eyes going from left to right, back and forth on the screen. Readers start from the top left and scan the items in the top row. In this case, it's a large hero image that is the copy. You can see the Z pattern once the reader makes it past the first CTA. You can take advantage of this reading pattern by ensuring your headings, important messaging, CTAs, and other items you want to feature prominently within the lines of the Z. Here in the F pattern, readers scan the email going further down in the email section by section. In each section, they scan the email from left to right. The top part of the F is typically the longest part of the email, where you'll house the hero image, logo, primary heading, and the main copy. Beneath the top section with the shorter sections include subheadings, smaller images, bullet points, and other condensed information. Typically, the further down the reader gets, the less time they'll spend on each section. And like the Z pattern, be sure to focus your images, subheadings, and copy along the F. In the inverted pyramid, the most salient or eye-catching piece is at the top. Typically, this is the bold header or a hero image. Then the user's focus is narrowed to a point at the bottom of the inverted triangle. This spot is generally reserved for your CTA. All three of these layouts respect the short attention span of a typical email reader. By placing the most critical or eye-catching piece at the top and helping guide readers to other information and calls to action, you can increase the likelihood that the reader will engage with your email. The great news is that the DMS helps you achieve all three layouts with the block editor. With our block editor, you can mix and match different layouts simply by clicking on or dragging and dropping any combination of email blocks in your template to construct the template of your choosing. In reality, all of us here don't spend a lot of time reading just one email. And knowing this, the newsletter must be able to capture the user's attention immediately. As we mentioned in part 2 about the benefits of newsletters, images are a powerful tool for storytelling as they visually show that your organization genuinely has a positive impact. Thus, you're able to establish an emotional connection that text can't achieve alone. Here, you can also consider using icons to support your headings to draw your users' attention to items where it may not make sense to have photograph or other images. As most of us are smartphone users, we know many people receive and open emails on our mobile devices. And it's not just about the desktop. If the email is challenging to read and navigate, you'll be providing a poor user experience. Because they can't use your email, a poor user experience leads to much lower engagement, or worse, they'll unsubscribe from your emails. The good news is that the DMS automatically handles this for you. And to be sure your email turns out great, you can even preview what the email looks like on a different mobile before you send it out. Your emails should have an unsubscribe mechanism that's visible. It should also be easy for a person to be able to unsubscribe. In Canada, commercial electronic emails, or CEM for short, must have unsubscribe mechanism under CASL legislation. However, even for non-CEMs, having an unsubscribe mechanism helps improve transparency and trust. Having an easy way to unsubscribe shows that you care and respect your subscribers, leading them to choose to receive your emails or not. Typically, these are found at the bottom, also known as the footer of your email. In the DMS, there is an unsubscribe block at the bottom of the templates. Just be sure you don't accidentally delete that block. So just before we jump into starting to build a template, remember to focus on goal, purpose, and theme. Focusing on goal, purpose, and theme helps you narrow down your content because not everyone will click or read everything in your newsletter. In Litmus's latest Trends in Email Engagement report, they found that the read rate has been decreasing year over year. The read rate in 2018 was about 13.4 seconds, and by the end of 2022, it decreased significantly to just 9 seconds. That means you don't have a lot of time to hold your audience's attention. That's why it's important to have a goal in mind for your newsletters. This underlines the importance of having a goal in mind for your newsletters. What is your newsletter trying to achieve? To help with your ideation, what a potential goal might be is generate traffic to an impact story, educational piece, etc., boost volunteer registrations, generate more revenue during a fundraising campaign, or getting awareness around your impact. Let's create a basic newsletter in the DMS.
But if you want to send an email to more than 50 people, such as an e-newsletter or a fundraising appeal, that's where the DMS Mail, also known as the DMS Bulk Email Tool, will come in handy. It'll allow you to create highly branded, personalized emails for all sorts of marketing communications. To access this tool, head to your Contacts tab. From here, select as many contacts as you'd like to send the DMS Mail to. For example, in this case, you may want to email all of your donors at the same time, so you can select All Contacts. Then, from the Actions menu to your left, select Send DMS Mail. Alternatively, you can also click on the main DMS Mail tab and then select the New Mailing button in the top left. In either case, you'll be brought to the DMS Mail Builder tool, where you'll create your bulk email in 3 main steps. First, you'll need to fill out some preliminary information. Give your mailing a name, and don't worry, this name will only appear to your charity in the DMS and is not public-facing. You can then select the email address that you'd like this email to show as coming from. Just below, you'll see that all of the contacts that we'd previously selected as our email recipients have been added to what's called a hidden group. As a note, the DMS will automatically filter out any contact who has no bulk email checked off as a communication preference in their contact profile. Lastly, add a subject line for the email, which will be visible in the recipient's inbox. Here, we definitely recommend taking advantage of merge fields, such as contact display name, to really personalize the subject line and increase the chances of the recipient opening your email. Finally, select your mailing language and click Continue to be brought to step 2. This second stage allows you to craft the content and look of your DMS mail. You'll be prompted to select from a series of common email templates, for example, a newsletter format. Then you can begin to design your email using the template blocks provided, which make it easy to segment the contents of your email as you create it. For example, in this top block, you can drag and drop your charity's logo from your computer or your DMS picture gallery. You can also configure these blocks however you want by moving them around, or simply get rid of a block altogether. In terms of the body of your email, you can also add merge fields in the email headings and the different bodies of the blocks for even more personalization. Below that, in the media components, you can easily drop relevant images from your gallery into your email. You can also customize the calls to action and hyperlinks on all of your buttons. For example, you might want a donate button to redirect to a custom donation form on your website when clicked. You can also customize the appearance of this email even further by clicking the Style tab across the top. Here, you can change the background color of the email as well as the font color and other components of your blogs. And don't worry, the DMS will auto-save your email every couple of minutes as you work on it. Once you're happy with the look of your DMS mail, you may want to test it before sending it to your recipients. You can send a test copy to yourself by selecting or typing in your own email. You can also preview it in HTML format here. As a note, if you send a test, the subject line of the test email will say Canada Helps Draft, but the final version you send will have your intended subject line. Once you're happy with your DMS mail, you can click Close, which automatically saves your email draft. Back on the Email Builder main page, click Continue to be brought to the third and final step before sending your DMS mail. Here, you can choose to immediately send your DMS mailing or schedule it to go out at a certain day and time. As a note, it usually takes about half an hour for the delivery to start, but once started, it will be sent to all recipients in a matter of minutes. If required, under Advanced Settings, you can also add an attachment to your DMS mail. Once you're ready to go, select Submit Mailing to either send or start the clock on your scheduled delivery. Afterwards, you'll be brought back to the Draft, Schedule, and Manage Email section of your DMS Mail landing page, where you'll see your mailing listed at the very top, along with its status, the date it was created, the DMS user it was sent by, the date it's scheduled for, if applicable, and the time the sending started and finished after hitting send. Finally, you can click on the More button to delete, pause, archive, cancel, or preview your mailing.
We covered quite a few things today, so let's do a quick recap. Before building your newsletter, be sure to remember the following. Charities benefit from sending regular newsletters. Raising awareness, attracting volunteers, fundraising, and building trust are all the benefits of newsletters. Follow best practices to help maximize email engagement. Aim for a monthly cadence, something that's easy to skim. Consider the copy length and the layout. Grab attention with images. Ensure it's a responsive email design, meaning that it fits on any device. Include an unsubscribe mechanism, and keep your newsletters focused. And that concludes the presentation portion of today's talk. Thank you so much for your time. I'm excited now to hear your questions. I'll throw it over to Naboro.
Thanks so much, Tamara, for that wonderful presentation on everything you need to know about building a newsletter. A lot of great things here for everyone to learn, whether you're new or experienced with newsletters. And I also can't wait to see all the great newsletters that you produce in the future. With that, that closes off the webinar. Again, if you have any questions, please click on the chat button to the left, enter your question there, and we'll get back to you after the webinar is over. So I'll leave this screen up for a few minutes if there's any last minute questions, like that. In the meantime, I just want to say thanks so much again to Tamara for presenting. That was an awesome presentation. And thank all of you for attending today, and have a great day.